Hello everybody, this is lesson 8. This is a review of our order of operations and exponents. We need to remember when we talk about exponents that is really just a shortcut way for us to repeatedly multiply some number. So I've got repeated multiplication going on. If I write down something like 2 to the third power, 2 is the number that I am repeatedly multiplying, and I'm multiplying it by itself, in this case 3 times, because 3 is my exponent. That will give us a value of 8. And we need to remember that 2 is our base. That's that number that's being repeatedly multiplied, and 3 is our exponent. Tells us how many times we are going to multiply that base by itself. So if I have something like 1.5 to the third power, that would be equivalent to 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.5. If I have something like 3 over 4 to the fourth power, that would be equivalent to 3/4 multiplied by itself, a total of 4 times. And since we know when we are multiplying fractions, we multiply our numerators and we multiply our denominators, this could also be written as 3 to the fourth power over 4 to the fourth power. All right, now we want to review our order of operations. So I'm going to turn the page here and talk about what order we perform our mathematical operations. Most of you remember PEMDAS. So I'm going to write that out in this way. And we know that the P represents anything in parentheses. We want to evaluate anything in parentheses first, and then we want to look for anything that is a base with an exponent. And evaluate anything with exponents next. The M and the D I've written together because they have equal priority. That would be multiplication and division. And they have equal priority, as I said, which means I want to do either one of those, whichever comes first, when I look at it from the left proceeding to the right. And addition and subtraction are performed in the same way. They have equal priority. And I want to do those in order also from left to right. Some of you, instead of remembering PEMDAS, might remember that saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So whichever way you use to remember that, we want to go in the order parentheses first, followed by exponents, any multiplication and division, and then any addition and subtraction. So let's start looking at some examples. The first one, pretty straightforward. We're going to do 4 plus 5 multiplied by 2. So I first look for any parentheses, none of those, no exponents. So I'm looking now for any multiplication or division. There's one multiplication operation, so we evaluate that first. 5 2's give us 10, and I'm going to bring down everything else. And I'm left with just the addition of 4 and 10, which gives us 14. Looking at another example. This time we'll use 4 multiplied by 8 minus 2 multiplied by 6. Nothing in parentheses again, and no exponents, so I'm looking for any multiplication and division. There's multiplication in 4 times 8, and another multiplication in 2 times 6. I need to do these in order from left to right. So 4 eighths is 32, and 2 sixths is 12. Going to bring down everything else, and that leaves us with 32 minus 12, which gives us 20. All right, our next example, example number 3, we'll use 5 plus 2 parentheses 7 minus 1, close the parentheses. And I see I have something in parentheses, so that's the first thing we want to evaluate. 7 minus 1 gives us 6. And bring down everything else. 5 plus 2 multiplied by 6. Now we look for any multiplication and division since we don't have any exponents. And there's this multiplication of 2 times 6. Gives us 12, bring down everything else, and we get 5 plus 12 gives us 17. All right, our next example is going to be a little bit more involved. So example 4, we'll use 9 multiplied by 2 to the third plus 36 divided by 3 to the second minus 8. All right, nothing is in parentheses, so we're looking for anything with exponents. We have 2 to the third to evaluate, and we have 3 squared to evaluate. If I evaluate 2 to the third, that equals 8. 3 squared is 9. And I'm going to bring down everything else. So I have 9 times 8 plus 36 divided by 9 minus 8. Now I'm looking for any multiplication and division. I have a multiplication in 9 times 8, a division in 36 divided by 9. I want to do these in order going from left to right. So 9 eighths is 72. 36 divided by 9 is 4. And I'm going to bring down everything else, which is an addition operation and a subtraction of 8. So now I'm looking for addition and subtractions. I have addition of 72 plus 8, and I have subtraction of 4 minus 8. I want to do these in order from left to right, so that means I'm adding the 72 and 4 first, and that gives us 76. And then I can do the subtraction of 8. 76 minus 8 leaves us with 68. All right, one last example. Number 5, we'll do 3 plus 2, and I'm going to have parentheses inside parentheses, so I'm going to use a square bracket, which is just another type of parentheses. So I'm going to have 2 multiplied by 10 minus 3, another set of parentheses, this time curved. 5 minus 2, close the curved parentheses, and close the next bracket. So here we have 2 sets of parentheses, and when we have more than one set of parentheses, we want to work from the innermost to the outermost. So for parentheses, we want to work from the inside to outside or outermost. my innermost parentheses are the 5 minus 2, so I want to evaluate that first. 5 minus 2 is going to be 3. And I'm going to bring down everything else. So I have 3 plus 2, my square bracket parentheses, 10 minus 3 gets multiplied by what I had inside my curved parentheses earlier. Now I'm still trying to work on my parentheses, so I'm looking at this set of parentheses here, and I have to evaluate a subtraction and a multiplication. Multiplication comes before subtraction, so I need to evaluate this 3 times 3 first. That's going to give us 9. And I'm going to bring down everything else that was in those square parentheses and bring down everything else. Now I can finish evaluating what's inside my parentheses here. 10 minus 9 is 1. So I have 3 plus 2 multiplied by 1. My multiplication comes next. 2 times 1 is 2. And bringing down my 3 in addition sign, I get 3 plus 2 for an answer of 5. Alright, now we need to make sure we understand these order of operations. The first unit test that you have will involve only your pencils and papers, no calculators to be used on the first test. So very important that we know how to use these order of operations. And that'll do it for this lesson. Have a great day, everybody.